Howdy guys, Attorney Walter Hnot. Now we're going to be having the big show today, which is the Thursday show. As you know, 8 to 10 p.m. we do a huge show, which includes an intro. Then we go and do the calls with everybody that wants to call in, ask questions, things like that. And then we go ahead and get a guest to go ahead and give us an update. Today's going to be a security update. It's going to be a smaller than the usual. So let's get right to this. I did a video which had a massive amount of viewers going ahead and watching it, responding to it. It over 3.5 thousand likes in a 3-day period and 73,000 views. But let's go right into that. The name of that video was Scary New Trend for Disability Benefits from the SSA. And this is the follow-up video to that, where basically I'm going to go into what the scary trend is, what the law is, how it works, and how it keeps you from getting other types of benefits from the Social Security system when it's related to disability benefits. Let's get right into it. Now, please remember to like, subscribe, and leave 5-star reviews. I'm just asking for 5-star reviews right now for the farm, which is basically essentially the place that I've been restoring, that you see all these cool videos of me working away at, doing the physical labor. I'm going to put the link right in the chat section there. If the link doesn't work, go ahead and Google Marble Mountain Horse Estate, New Jersey. That will pop it right up. That's the place to leave the 5 stars. Now, let's get right into this thing. Okay, there's this thing called collateral estoppel. Sounds fancy, kind of is fancy. So here's the deal. This video is all about explaining the rules related to when you are on a disability program. So you're on disability benefits, right? And want to go on another disability program. Okay, so you're on disability benefits and you want to also get another disability benefits program added on or switch entirely to a new disability program. Sometimes they make you prove you are disabled again, right, to go into that new program or to add that new program. And sometimes they say, nah, we're cool. We don't need it. We trust that you are still disabled. They base this on whether or not there's rules, whether or not their rules have changed significantly enough for it to be much harder to be found disabled. So the premise, the idea here is that, and I want to make sure I'm really clear with you guys on this. The premise is, when does the SSA have to re-adjudicate your claim to see if you're still disabled in order to go ahead and basically get onto another disability program? That's what this is all about. This is my great fear, is that I'm starting to have claims that don't fit within these rules and should fit within what's called collateral estoppel. When you hear collateral estoppel, that means the SSA is saying, nah, we're good. We're just going to put you on that other program because we know you're still severely disabled. So if the rules have become much harder to be found disabled, then they usually want to put you through the ringer again to see if you are still disabled. So they make you prove it all over again to go on this new program. There are times where they do this and times where they don't do this, and it's all called this collateral estoppel. And here, collateral estoppel, that means they're cool with you. You don't have to go to DDS again to get adjudicated to see if you're disabled. This is super important because a lot of people are trying to add SSI benefits to get a little bit more per month, or go on to SSDI benefits because they weren't filed correctly to begin with, and they're being barred from entry to these other disability programs, and they're living in extreme poverty as a result of it. Collateral estoppel is where the SSA won't decide an issue again that has already been decided. Or put another way, they just accept the decision of what they decided previously and say, we are good, no need to figure this thing out again. We will just put you on the new program or add the benefits onto your current program. Now the SSA says, hey, we aren't spending the money and we aren't spending the time to figure out if you are still disabled when you want to go on a different program that may require the disability element to be met, right? Whether or not you're disabled. You know, you were disabled, right? And you still are disabled, and they aren't going to question that. And that's what's called collateral estoppel. However, collateral estoppel is becoming more and more rare. And here's the problem with that. It means that if you were found disabled back in the day, you're probably not going to meet the new medical requirements of being found disabled nowadays. Which brings me to a side point, if you will. There are a lot of people out there that are like, oh, I was found disabled. I know exactly how to do it. I've done it a million times. I'm amazing at it. Here we go. look, if I were to summarize, it's almost always a female, and it's almost always a female in her 50s, and she's, just telling people that she's brilliant, knows every aspect of it. All you have to do is just, go ahead and write things down and make sure you follow up, and you should be good, right? Wrong. And I end up with the claims. But the point is, it's getting harder and harder to be found disabled, which means if you were found disabled back in the day, you're probably not going to be able to go through this system again and get an approval with the new rules. So who has jurisdiction, right, over this difficult situation of collateral estoppel, right? Or put it another way, who has the power to review the situation where they may need to figure out if you are still disabled to put you on a different program or add a program onto your current one? DDS has the power. Who is DDS? They're the state-based group. They do the initial adjudications to see if you're disabled at the initial filing levels or the reconsideration levels. Or if you're Georgia and have what I think is a really terrible DAS, I mean, they're like impossible to get a hold of. It's absolutely, I get so angry with Georgia. They have what's called Disability Adjudication Services. It's the same thing. It's just, for some reason, Georgia's special and nobody can really get through to anybody most of the time. All right, now with that said, DDS has the power, and sometimes also the Program Service Center, if they get the claim directly, they have the power to adjudicate as well. But almost always, it's going to go to DDS, just like a regular filing for disability benefits. Now, what are examples when they get the claim to figure out if collateral estoppel applies? Remember, again, collateral estoppel is when they don't need to adjudicate your claim. But if collateral estoppel doesn't apply, they're going to put you through the ringer again. They're going to make you go the full 10 yards, and I hope you got your running shoes on. Examples are when, that was a joke, because obviously if you're disabled, you're not going to have your running. Okay. Anyway. Now, examples are when you are on a program like SSI, and you need to add or change to a different program like Social Security Disability Insurance, childhood disability benefits under another program, or disabled widows benefits. So remember, there's like childhood benefits, auxiliary benefits. There's disabled child benefits, the 18 to 22-year-old benefits. There's also child benefits that are due to you through unique situations. If you're like a survivor, there's all these different options, right, for child benefits. But the main ones that everybody sees a lot of, are basically your widow's benefits, basically your SSI benefits, supplemental security income, or your Social Security Disability Insurance. And once again, heading into 2023, it's going to be harder to add these programs on if you didn't get adjudicated for them all at the same time. All right, let's go through this. The elements considered are as follows. Okay, that sounds like a law school or a law, class sentence there. The elements considered are as follows. Okay, number one, you want to upgrade or swap out your disability program benefits, right? You're sitting there, you got SSI, you're like, hey, I got all my, quarters of coverage. My day less insured is still in front of me. I should have applied for SSDI benefits. I'll do that. SSDI benefits, of course, being regular disability, Social Security Disability Insurance. And you're sitting there, you're like, you know what? I'm only getting like, $841 on SSI. But if I get my SSDI benefits, I'm going to get $1,400, right? I want to swap. So basically, there's a common issue where the element of being disabled during a similar time period is at question. Now, I'm going to go ahead and smoosh the camera because my dad's going to go ahead and leave because I'm in this one room in Maine on vacation doing this video. And I think a little seed from a strawberry is trying to attack my tongue. All right, now here we go. The next thing, number two. So the first one was you want to swap programs, you want to upgrade programs, you want to change programs. All right, cool. Number two, the rules for your impairment have either stayed pretty similar or they have changed drastically. Now, I know what you're thinking. Well, my impairment, it's really bad, and I doubt the rules have changed. No, most of the rules have changed. And a lot of the rules have changed, especially more recently, especially more Saul Commissioner era-y, okay? Now, let's go through this real quick. Not sure what's going on with the door there, but all right, here we go. All right, the rules for your impairment have either stayed pretty similar, right? That's option one, or they've changed drastically, the more common one, okay? If the rules and severity levels are still similar, you're good. You have what's called collateral estoppel. Don't worry about it. Life is cool. You're good. But that's probably not going to be your situation. Here's the deal. If the severity or rules are different for your impairment, and most of them have changed, then they will question whether or not you are disabled again and put you through hell with the whole application process to see if you meet the new, tougher standards of disability benefits. Now, there's a lot of different ways that they do this. We're going to go through them all, whether you're a listing, whether it's a vocational situation, we're going through them all. So if we put this in SSA lingo, right? If we give them their website stuff, we make it seem like what they say it is. By the way, this is not a monster. This is what holds the phone. It's not going to eat me, to answer the person that was upset before. So if we put this in SSA lingo, they are asking themselves the whole time, will the prior favorable decision, you being found disabled, be adopted? Will they keep it? And they're like, yeah, we like this. We're going to keep this. And then used. We like it, we're gonna keep it, and we're gonna apply it to your new program, and you're gonna boop right through, no problem. Or do we want the claimant to go through the DDS gauntlet to face the severity fire rites of passage system again? That's what it comes down to. That's what it comes down to. They do this, for example, when the rules are different for different programs, like blindness definitions between different programs, or childhood claims that switch to adult claims. Like if you're 17 and a day before 18, and you're on SSI benefits for children, and then you switch to an SSI to be an adult, right? And changes to the medical vocational rules. Okay, so here's a classic one. Remember when a massive amount of Latinos were approved because they could not speak English? But then they got rid of that grid out requirement so that if you could speak Spanish, it would no longer be an element for being found disabled. Remember how I made a video? You probably don't remember. I made a whole video about that one. All right. Anyways, the point is, if you couldn't speak English and you could only speak Spanish, that used to be a huge foot up in this country to be approved for disability benefits. Not anymore. Another example is when a substantial change to the listing of impairments occurs. What they're saying there is when they take the listing and they make it way harder. They've never made it easier. They've always made it harder. Another example is when the prior determination is not used because it was clearly incorrect, or the error exception for continuing disability review applies. So that's like where they made a mistake. They made a mistake. They never properly fixed it. This is their chance to go ahead and fix it. Meloni, too. Thank you so much for the $9.99 donation. I really love it. I love the pair. I love the little #1 fan thing. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. That's awesome. Thank you. So guys, with this situation, another example is when the prior determination is not used because it was clearly incorrect. Think about this like where the doctor incorrectly noted something. Okay, so imagine you have your medical records and the doctor writes down that that you require, for example, a walker and a wheelchair to be able to get from point A to point B, and you actually don't. You haven't been prescribed one, you don't use one. It was just something that was copied over from a prior report. In that instance, that would be an example where basically there was a problem. Another example where they may not use the original adjudication, the original approval, and make you go through it again is if there was fraud. Like, remember the whole 9/11 situation where there was a lot of fraud on behalf of the firefighters and the police officers going into disability benefits and things like that? Obviously, many of them are heroes. Many of them are heroes. But there was a chunk of them that played the game and they got caught. As a result of that, there was fraud. They were riding jet skis with severe depression and PTSD and back issues, and obviously there's a problem there. Another example is if you are on SSI and you go back to work and consistently earn over the SGA amount, then they're going to send you for another adjudication. Guess what? You created what's called a new vocational profile, aka you just told them that you are not as disabled as they originally thought, where you just proved you can work, and they won't use a prior favorable decision to just get adopted when swinging over to another program. Okay, cool. Another example, guys, is if they terminate your benefits, then obviously they expect you to do another round with DDS to see if you are severely impaired, right? So if you go through a CDR, they kill your benefits, and you're like, well, I'm just going to go on this disability program now. They're going to make you go through it again. There are other examples where they lose your folder and they need to re-adjudicate, or they did a CDR recently and they can use that as the backbone for the collateral estoppel. Because remember, a CDR is like, that's what they're trying to do here. It's a DDS review situation. So look, here's the way to think about it. They're looking for what's called medical improvement. Okay, MI, medical improvement, very commonly used in the disability field. Now, with that said, another example is if you were on a program and you are claiming you were disabled before the date they found you disabled on. Okay, so then, yeah, in that instance, they do a full review for that period because that makes sense because you weren't previously found disabled during that, time. So let's say you're found disabled for SSI on this date, right? And you applied on this date. But now you're claiming SSDI benefits going even farther back in time to this date. Well, they still got to figure out during this little gap here between, when you're claiming you were disabled and when you applied for SSI and you were found disabled from that date, they're still looking at this saying, hey, wait a minute. We don't know if this person was truly disabled. So they send you back to DDS. Okay. All right, good. We're getting through this. Now, keep in mind too, they have a diary system as to when they will give you a CDR. So when people ask me, hey, when's my next CDR? Just call the SSA, the local field office. They're going to know. They've got a diary system in place that they can access. All right, so a lot of you guys are going to be wondering something a little complex here. What types of medical impairments have medical improvements? Where you had a listing level approval, right? You met the listing, you meet, equal, or exceed a particular disability listing. Now, a lot of you guys don't know what that is. Let me explain. In disability law, if you have one severe impairment, they look at a predetermined list, and if you are one of those things on that list, if you meet, equal, or exceed the severity of one of those things, if you are one, you're like one, or you're worse than one of one of those things, then you have gotten what's called a listing level approval. They're awesome approvals. They're super dupe. When you have the 5 elements, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, if you get a listing level approval, you only go to element 3 because there's a magic little door that opens that allows you to obtain disability benefits because you have met, equal, or exceeded one of the predefined list of disabilities. Or put another way, you are one, you're worse than one, or you're equivalent to one. So what types of medical impairments where you've got a listing level approval are now considered A-OK for them to send you to DDS for another review? Or put another way, what are the types of impairments that you could have where collateral estoppel will not take place? Because remember, collateral estoppel is when they're like, nah, you're cool. We're just going to put you on the other program. This is when collateral estoppel doesn't work. Here we go. Musculoskeletal 1.0 disorders. I'm just going to summarize for you guys on this one. 4221. All of these musculoskeletal disorders, they changed the numbers. They changed a bunch of the writing on them and things like that. They made them tougher. They've been getting tougher for a long time. I'll read to you specifically what they say. All musculoskeletal disorders except amputation of both upper extremities at or above the wrists, you're not going to know what that word is, or hip disarticulation, you're not going to know what that is. All right. Bottom line, for the amputation, both of your wrists and your hands are gone. Both of your ankles and your feet are gone, or one of your legs and half your hip is gone. That's what that means, okay? All right, now, let me read to you specifically what the instructions are for that one. Changed on 4221. I was cranky when they changed. They actually changed before that, but that's just the most recent change. When the basis of the prior favorable determination or decision was meeting or equaling a 1.0 listing, our musculoskeletals, 1.0 listing other than a prior listing 1.05A or 1.05D before 4221, collateral estoppel does not apply and a new determination is required. Now, let me put that in English. If you've got a musculoskeletal impairment and there are not literally things missing from your body, so if you don't have both of your hands gone, both of your feet gone, and one of your legs and half your hip gone, then they are going to put you through a new adjudication if you want to go on to a new disability program or add a disability program. 2.0s, special senses and speech. This is like the head stuff, right? The 2.0 listings are all in the head stuff. All right, now with this one, they were changed on 5/24/2002. When the basis for the prior favorable determination or decision was meeting equaling a listing 2.05 before 5/24/2002, collateral estoppel does not apply and a new determination is required. So kind of the bottom line here is that, I'm not going to go through this whole thing. So it'll just take too long. It's going to take 30 minutes to read through each one of these. All right, let me put it to you this way. Let me summarize for you. The 1.0s, most of them have changed. The 2.0s, special senses, eyes, nose, ears, stuff like that. A lot of those, not changed that much, but a little bit. The 3.0s, respiratory, they changed the asthma attacks, the occurrent details. That was done in 2016. As you know, 2016 was the beginning of a lot of the Commissioner Saul integration detail stuff. Kind of the bottom line was, how do I put this simply? That was when the changes were starting to happen. And then 2017 were the mega changes, or at least the ones that changed the game of disability. Cardiovascular, I'll put it up for you so you can see. All cardiovascular, all of them, every single one changed 4/13/2006. Now remember, some of these you might have been adjudicated under the correct standard, in which case you're okay because you were adjudicated under the new, higher, more difficult standard. Then collateral estoppel will go ahead and save your butt and you'll get swapped on to the new program. But most of these, they keep changing them. 5.0 listings, the digestive system, okay? All digestive disorders. Now there's no 6.0s in here. Just keep that in mind. 7.0s, the hematological disorders. All hematological disorders as of 5/18/2015. I'm sorry, the digestive disorders, which was the 5.0s, that was from 12/18/2007. Now there's no, 8.0s. We go straight to 9.0s, endocrine disorders. Obesity. Remember obesity used to be like an impairment, and then they really got rid of all of that stuff? Yeah. All right, so anyways, that was 1999. Now we go to the additional one, all endocrine disorders except listings 9.08C and 9.09. Okay. I'm not going to go through all of them because it'll just take too much time. Next one, the 10.0s, congenital disorders that affect multiple body systems. Many of you guys don't know, congenital just means from birth, right? From birth. Cool. Awesome. We got it. Any disorder in the multiple body system. So basically 1993, they changed a bunch. All right. 11.0, neurological disorders. All neurological disorders except amyotrophic lateral sclerosis. Amyotrophic lateral sclerosis. Ooh, a hard time saying sclerosis. I've always had a difficult time. Now, with that said, 9/29/16, that's when the changes happen. 12.0, man, the 12.0s. Commissioner Saul really dug into the 12.0s on this one. All mental disorders, 1/17/17. A lot of changes. You know how people are like, I need my crazy check, right? I need my crazy check. I need my crazy money. They changed those. They went after those because too many people were playing the game. Next one, 10.0s. Congenital disorders that affect multiple body systems. Wait, hold on. Sorry about that, guys. We're past 12. Now we're going on to, we're running out. 13.0s, cancers. Okay. Uterus carcinoma or sarcoma with total pelvic. You're not going to know what that is. That's fine. Anyways, 2004 is when they changed that. 14.0, the immune system disorders. These are the immune system disorders, guys, to me, are some of the toughest types of claims to win. Those and neuro claims involving the brain. Because, the brain is so complex and we just don't have some of the great technology that we need to figure out what's going on with a lot of these immune system disorders. They're there and then they're gone. They flare up and then they're gone. They've got a rash and then they don't. It's just tough. Those are tough claims to win. Anyways, 14.0s, 06/16, 2008, they were changed. All immune system disorders except human immunodeficiency virus, HIV. Cool. Then they got a couple more details on HIV, yada, yada. All right, over here, and that's it. It only goes up to 14.0 for the adults. Now, there's something important to note here, and I want to make sure I explain this. in that when researching, you will see terms like res judicata, sounds fancy, sounds Latin, it is, and collateral estoppel, sounds fancy, it is. Res judicata applies to doing a new review under the same title. That's where they're doing it. Like if you have SSI benefits and they want to go ahead and do a review of something under Title 16, that'll happen. If you're on SSDI benefits, Title 2, and they want to go ahead and do a review under something Title 2, like, you know, like spousal disability benefits or widow's disability benefits, then in that case, that would be a res judicata because they're using the same title. But collateral estoppel is when you're jumping programs all over, okay? All right, well, collateral estoppel applies to you trying to add or change to like a different program outside of that title, all right? Now, here's the deal. I have had 3 claims where they didn't do SGA, right, where they were working and they didn't earn substantial gainful activity. They had a vocational approval back in the day. They were approved for disability benefits because they had lots of impairments, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, whatever. They had lots of impairments, and all those impairments meant they could not work a full-time job. And because they couldn't work a full-time job because their impairment stopped them from doing it, they got a vocational allowance called a vocational approval. Now, they did not have a listing level approval. So when they tried to apply onto other claims, they should have been good to just switch over to adding or changing over to a new program. But I don't know if this is an error of the field office sending the claim over to DDS with the presumption that collateral estoppel should not apply, or whether there's something going on with these claims. But the bottom line is I'm noticing that there are more problems related to people getting put onto these other programs. Some of these normally they just put them right on. They didn't have the time to figure out the whole adjudication related to it. It was good to go. It wasn't a listing level. They didn't have SGA. Here we go. Now, I will sit here and admit that my claimants, I haven't gotten the IRS records back on these 3 claims that are problematic, may be lying to me. I know that. They may be being disingenuous with me. My claimants are not always angels. I know this. My claimants are not always on their way to heaven. I fully understand this. But, their claims should not have to go through a new adjudication. And it appears to me that the field office is screwing up in the favor of putting them through having to prove that they're disabled again, in which some of them have now been denied for SSI or SSDI benefits while they're already on one of the other SSI or SSDI benefits, which sends a weird signal to them as a person because they were already approved. And maybe they've been on disability benefits for 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, whatever. So to their mind, they're like, I'm clearly disabled. But to the new program, you're not, because you have to be much, much more severe. There's other things you have to meet. Now, I want to go through this real quick. Either way, my opinion is that if you are found disabled, unless you have medically improved, this is my opinion, if you're found disabled, and unless you've been medically approved, medically improved, like you've gotten better. So unless unless it's one of those situations, or been working at SGA for a while, like you're earning over $1,350 for a while. So unless you've, not medically improved, unless you haven't been working at SGA, that you should, in my opinion, automatically be able to swap over to the other disability program, in that they agree that you were disabled and still are disabled. That's my opinion. Making you go through the whole process again just doesn't seem moral or ethical to me. Now, some would say that, hey, can't they just put you through a CDR and make you lose your benefits based off of the new code changes that made it much harder to be found disabled? No, that's not correct. Here's why. Because if you are on SSDI benefits for a listing level allowance, right, and you were found disabled in 2005, then when they do their new review, they need to use the old rules and stick with those as to whether or not you were disabled under the 2005 rules. They can't use the new rules in a CDR. They have to use the original rules that you were found disabled under. In 2005, it was super easy to get onto the disability program. So the old rules will usually keep people on disability benefits. But what they are saying here is that they must then re-adjudicate the claim if the person wants to add SSI benefits onto their claim to see if they meet the new rules. I view this as immoral, and here's why. If you have been on disability since 2005, then that is 17 years where you haven't worked, right? 2005 doesn't really seem that far away, right? Because it's just 2005. But 2005 is 17 years back. Expecting this person who hasn't had medical improvement to make a life change, right? To just get their stuff together and make the job happen at that point, in my opinion, is absurd. They were disabled then, they locked in their benefits, and now they should be able to use the prior finding of disability to receive their other benefits that they should have been on to begin with in this instance, but didn't know what to file for. That happens a lot. A lot of you guys will file for SSI, a lot of you guys will file for SSDI benefits, and you're actually eligible for the other one, or one of them might be a better fit with more money for you. A lot of you guys do that. So that's my thing. There's a practical problem to all this that isn't being addressed, okay? Which is basically that a human doesn't know what to file for most of the time. So that's my thing. There's this issue where a human doesn't know how to go back to work, even when you ask them to go back to work because you say they're no longer disabled to the limit they need to. And the SSA knows this. The SSA won't even look past your past 15 years of work. They won't, because they know that you can't remember what you did or what skills you had past 15 years ago. I mean, think about it. How many of you remember the weird little cool little things that you had to learn to make that cash register work over 15 years ago? You don't. You just don't remember. And let's call it like it is. That cash register hasn't been around for a while. All right. Now, so the reason being that you won't remember how to perform jobs that are older than 15 years. So with this hypo, we would be denying someone potentially their add-on benefits, even though it's been 17 years since they've worked because they've been disabled that whole time. To me, that's immoral. To me, that's taking a rigid system and applying it to a non-rigid human being. Now, I'll update you guys on things relating to this as they develop with these claims, and we will go from there, okay? Now, we're going to switch. As you guys know, Thursdays, we take live calls. I'm going to go ahead and put the phone number in there. Here we go, real quick. That's the phone number. Now, we've already missed a couple of calls. Let me go ahead and get the ball rolling here. Let me get this phone unplugged. Now, remember, I'm in a room. There's lots of AC blowing over here. I don't have my usual backdrop. I'm on vacation. I'm in Maine. And it's so beautiful up here, guys. It's so beautiful. Oh, my goodness. All right, give me 1 second. I'm going to figure out how I'm going to hook this into that, and then we should be good to go. Okay, let's go right here. I'm going to see what we can do here. And, all right, we have the first call. I'm going to put the volume way up. Let's see what we can do here.
Hello.
Hi, ma'am. Attorney Walter Hnot. We are live on YouTube. Please remember to use a fake name throughout this process. Would you like me to answer a specific question, or would you like me to go ahead and run hearing questions with you? Perfect, ma'am. How can I help you? Yeah, I can hear you just fine.
Okay.
Perfect.
I'm the one.
You know, I don't remember the details because honestly, I've spoken with so many people since then, but walk me through it. Give me the, walk me through it.
Okay. Well, and then move to a foreign country. Ha ha. With weight. There's no here to be able to apply for SSDI. That would be the minimum. And then I'm going to all of a sudden magically say, oh, I need to apply for SSDI to get a, that sounds like there's no way that they would allow that.
All right, so let's run that again. I was just fixing an audio problem. It sounds like everybody's happy now. You're actually good now. They can hear you now. They couldn't hear you before. Walk me through that one more time. Go ahead.
The whole thing, or pick up where?
Let me honestly. They're saying cutting in and out. What I was doing was changing the audio fence in the driver system. So just walk me through. You were injured, car accident. Lawyers have the money. They're holding it. There's no tax consequence. Walk me through the rest of it after that.
Okay. So just to remind you, I've been an SSI for 20 years. Okay. And when I talked to you last week, you said, oh, if I were you, I would get on SSDI. First of all, I think this goes in with what I have no idea how I would parlay from SSI to SSDI in the first place. So let me hear what you have to say about that.
Oh, you wouldn't be able to get onto it because you probably don't have enough quarters of coverage. I mean, you haven't been working, right, for 20 years, right?
Exactly. So
yeah.
they have squashed all my quarters of work.
Yeah. They basically, as you get older, you need more quarters of coverage, and you need 20 quarters of coverage within the past 10 years. So you wouldn't be able to go on SSDI.
Okay, that's what I thought. Okay, yeah, so, all right, so that's out. And, I still, I know you told me all these crazy states to move to, Mississippi and all that, I was born in Connecticut, but I've lived most of my life down here in Florida. I am not willing to go in the middle of nowhere and not know anybody. So I told you about these 3 things that I can do, which is the spend down 30 days, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you said, I would like, can you still hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you just well. Yeah.
Okay. And you were mentioning, and you're not on the line for any of this, I'm just saying, you were mentioning, okay, I would buy a house. Okay.
Oh, I remember this. I remember this call. Yeah. We were live. Yeah. Okay, go ahead. I remember the call. I got the whole thing. Yeah.
Right. So, I'm thinking about this, and okay, so in 30 days, you said, I could buy a Mercedes and a mansion if I wanted to. We're talking about $121,000. Okay. So, but here's the thing. I have to spend all of that money in 30 days. So let's say I just want to spend it all on a house or some living abode. And now I've spent all my money on that. And now I have no way to support that place. The homeowner's insurance, the taxes, the repairs, and so it sounds useless to me. The whole thing of having this money sounds useless to me. So I can't spend all of it on a house and have no way to support it. Then take all the money and lose SSI, but there's a ton of restrictions of how I can use the money. They're very strict. They're almost as strict as the spend down. And then when that's gone, reapply for the SSI. But from what you're saying tonight, it sounds like that's a no-win situation as well. And so then the third one is that pooled trust, those people in Clearwater, FND. Now, I read everything of all the deductions and all these people I have to pay. It's a never-ending list. The only benefit that would give is to the trustee people and all their cronies that are getting rich off of me, and I'm going to end up with nothing. So why did I even get the lawsuit in the first place? So, this is crazy. This is crazy. And, so I have all this money, and let's say I get a house. I'm going to end up homeless anyway in the long run. They're making this money so unusable to me that it's like not even having it. Stay in my living situation and eventually end up homeless. Why even have the money? The only good thing that money could do for me is I asked my lawyers while they're holding it, if something, I were to die, they said my son can have all that money. It just all goes to him. That's the only good that this money can do. All the other ways, I am going to crash and burn. I might as well not even have it. I might as well just burn it. And it's, do you understand what I'm saying?
I mean, it sounds like we had a glass that was half full last time, and the water is now gone, and somebody's taking a torch to the bottom of the glass, and it's heating up, and there's no liquid left in the glass. The glass is just very empty. Here's the thing. You obviously are not having a background in basic house upkeep, repairs, stuff like that. So that stuff is like, oh my God, there's no way I could tackle that. And I get it. A lot of people are in that field. That's fine. It is what it is. I cannot advise you to have the funds be redirected to your son, have your son purchase a house, and then rent to you a super cheap room in that house so that he basically goes ahead and gets his taxes set up and purchase set up and be able to have that house as you, a renter, going forward. I cannot advise that as an attorney because the funds were originally meant for you. But that is what a lot of people do.
Well, I can't do that. How can a lot of people do that? They said that I cannot give my money away to anybody. I cannot purchase. If I put my money into a house or whatever, it has to have my name on it. Whether it has to have both, whether it can have his name on it or with me, that I'm not clear on. That's a question, because that could be the only possibility that I can think of that will put this money to any good use and keep me from being homeless one day.
So when I say, keep in mind, I cannot advise you, it's because there are rules and regulations as an attorney. So what most people do is not something I can advise you to do, because I'm restricted in the comments I can give you, because we are A, live on YouTube, and B, bottom line is, once again, I cannot advise you to have your son have the funds redirected to him through the attorneys as settlement on your behalf to then go ahead and use to purchase a house to then rent you a cheap room in. I can't advise that. So
Gotcha.
what you have to understand is that your son, does your son already own a house?
No.
Once again, I cannot advise you to set your son up for life in a house.
That's what I would like to do.
Remember, there are limitations with how you can give funds away, but you can do things to work with that. It's not the end of the world, but that would be a better conversation where, once again, I cannot advise you of ways to work with those funds to continue forward with a future that you can afford. And if your son owns the home, we'll put those repairs on him.
Right. Well, how could I get advice on how to do that? Because my understanding is I don't know about this redirecting funds. Like how could I get some specifics on that possibility?
No, I'm not going to do it on the live show. That's for sure. That's for
I know that's
sure.
What I said. How can I?
You can learn about basically reassigning funds, gifting funds, tax limitations, Social Security limitations for SSI, and then basically what you're gonna. Well, okay, so that would be an excellent question when we are not on the air, because I may give you suggestions of what other people do that is not directly linear with what the code wants you to do.
Okay, when can we talk about that?
I just,
email you what?
I mean, I'm on. No, I don't want to email it.
To me, this sounds like the only other option. Otherwise, like I said, I might as well just take the money and burn it, or get in a car accident, crash and burn, and let him inherit it all. I mean, it's that bad.
Look, you are not, obviously the glass is not half full with with wine or beer. I can tell that. I can tell now that we've made it into, the potential of a car crash where you don't make it and you escape to another country to live among the islands, while basically, becoming a new face, a new name, and a new citizen somewhere else. I mean, we could have fun with this, but the point is, you're going to have to call me. Yeah, you're going to have to call me about this, because right now we've got you the glass is half empty and you're in Brazil. So, I mean, you're going to have to call me.
Okay, when could I call you, Walter?
I don't, honestly, just at some point next week. I'm still on vacation for another week, but probably give me a call.
You're in Maine, right?
Yeah, I'm in Maine. I'm going to be going up to Bar Harbor. One day I want to buy a house there, but it's probably not going to happen because of student loans. But the thing is this, give me a call basically at some point, not this week, not next week, but the week thereafter. I'll be back. And then like Thursday-ish, give me a call then, and then we can always catch up. Because remember, when I get back after being gone for like 2 weeks, there are literally lines outside of some of the places that I go to meet with people where they just literally, I'm seeing 3 or 4 people at a time with as many offices filled at that location. So, yeah.
Okay, so call you in 3 weeks.
Yes.
On which number?
I just read Charlton Zimmerman's thing and he said, get Trump's lawyer. Okay, you're just going to call me on this phone number. I know, it's just somebody put in the chat session that you should go get Trump's lawyers.
Go get Trump's lawyers.
Oh my goodness, I love it. I love it. Yeah, call me not this week, not next week, but the week thereafter, and we'll catch up.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much. And the farm is gorgeous. And if I had the money, I would board a horse there because I love horses.
I can't wait. There's two trainers that are now entering into the final contract stage, which is we send them the final contract and they sign it. And basically at this point, from where I'm coming from, I'm really excited. And I know I started this whole thing, where I was like, look, it would be awesome to see people riding there. And, I remember me as a little kid, my sister's a little kid, basically little kids wanting to ride there, learn about horses, learn about how to take care of horses, and then continue that. Remember, it's like Taekwondo. It's like any one of these, these specific vocational tracks that you could go on where you learn how to do something incredible. That's not the usual crap that I do, which is paperwork, the law, bullet points, emails. They're doing something with their life and they're making horses' lives better, which is to me. So if I could make animals' lives better, I'm much more happy than essentially doing. What I do is I save people's lives with the disability benefits to some degree. I make sure that they have a check every month, have health insurance, and that does save some people for sure. But, it's like I've always said, the first part of my life is going to be the law firm. The second part of my life is going to be constitutional stuff, law, force space. And then the third part of my life will probably be setting up systems legally to help animals have better rights, and then basically setting them up to go ahead and, essentially have a life more accustomed to a higher standard of what we humans want. Although in America, this past couple of years, our standard of living is dropping hot. I mean, it's dropping like a techno beat, in New Amsterdam. So we're not doing so well. But anyways, I will catch you in 3 weeks.
Okay, and yeah, I'm with you on the animal thing. Maybe we can get together on that because I'm as passionate about that. Because when my son leaves, he's 25, but when he leaves, that's what I want to devote my life to, is helping animals.
Well, he better be leaving to his new house.
Yeah, let's hopefully, and then I can do a wildlife rehabilitator. I could be, or the cat lady, like we were talking about, or something. Whatever it is, it's going to have to do with helping animals.
I'm on board. I love it. I've represented, a lot of people in that field, in that arena, where they basically take care of animals. I'm all for it. But I'll catch you later. You have a wonderful, wonderful evening.
Walter, thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so very much.
Thank you.
Okay.
Have fun. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Okay, guys, cool. Real quick, I'm going to go ahead and try and get another call. Let's see what we got here real quick. Now, I did miss, I missed a bunch. Hold on. Let me pop over here. All right, that was that one. Okay, here we go. Here's the next one. Perfect. And we're on speakerphone. And you guys know how this works. We just let this, we put it right over here. Oh, Deb Carter, thank you so much for the donation. I really appreciate it. Thank you for the $5 donation. That's awesome. Wow, thank you. Hi, this is Attorney Walter Hnot. We are live on YouTube. Would you like me to go ahead and answer a question or run hearing questions with you? And remember to use a fake name throughout this. How can I help you?
Hi, Walter. I had a cessation of benefits that happened. I got the notice on August 14th. And so I filed paperwork that they asked for. And at that time, it was kind of weird because when they did it, they went back to November is when they stopped the benefits. So then it made me an overpayment. But they're not going to do, they said they're holding up my reinstatement of benefits during the appeal period. If I don't file an SSA 16, an SSA 454BK, and an SSA 827. Is that, I mean, I thought I once before I heard you say that do not file a new application for benefits.
So let me get this straight. You were denied and kicked off of benefits, correct?
Yes, I've been on since 1995.
Okay, and so they did a cessation claim through a CDR. They took away the benefits. And let me ask you, did you go to a hearing? Did you appeal it? Where were you at with it?
I'm appealing, but what it was they asked me about I broke the SGA rule for 1 month in December. I'm Santa, and so I thought they'd slap my hand and take a month's benefits away, but instead, it's kind of I don't understand because, like they said, they're dead they're stopping it as of November of 2021. Yet I didn't make an infraction until December.
So that's interesting. Sounds like they've got their months kind of screwed up. They entered you into a CDR as a result of a Santa Claus breaking SGA and got their months screwed up a little bit. And now they're making you go through the whole process again to see if you're still disabled. So have you improved at all since your original impairments when you were found disabled? And what was it, 99?
95.
95, man. I mean, it was so easy to be found disabled back then. I mean, what improvements have you had? What are your doctors saying?
My doctor says, no, there's no improvement. I mean, I've had things happen. I had a surgery where they put a spinal cord implant in, and that seemed to help for a little bit. But then, the reason we did it was to get me off opioids. I've been taking opioids for over 20 years. So then I quit the opioids, and I'm not, I'm worse off than before as far as being able to get around and do things. And then August 10th, my hip went out, and they had to do a fluoroscope injection, and that was part of my original accident. That hip had posteriorly dislocated, and it got tore up, and then they botched the surgery. And they said, that there was damage to the cartilage, and eventually it would wear out. So,
So we have some medical changes. Surgery should have helped. You're off the heavy medications, addicting, problematic. I get it. All right. How many denials did you receive from them where they denied you for benefits as part of the cessation?
Just the one letter that they sent me a letter earlier in August that said this may happen. And so I responded to the guy who was handling my case, and I said, may happen. And I said, why? With just 1 month, it doesn't seem right. And he says, I'll talk to my supervisor. Then I got the other letter that said it,
that you were denied.
We're ceasing your benefits.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So, and it was for medical reasons, right?
No, it was for the payment. It was for the SDA.
Yeah, but it's just for that month. What about the months thereafter? Because look, when you work one job, right, and you're not working it for an extended period, then that can be a failed work attempt. They didn't ask you to continue to work as a Santa, right? So, I mean, to me, that would be a failed work attempt.
Well, that's what I thought. And they're saying, no, you broke the SGA once. And they said, because I had a trial work period way back in 2008, they say it was complete. I went over the 9 months. Well,
Sure.
I didn't. And I never got, paperwork on that. As a matter of fact, in 2019, they did a review, medical and financial, and they said, you're good to go.
All right. Is there something else going on here? Because this sounds like they found something, and maybe there's a little bit more to the story that they're unhappy with. What are they unhappy with?
Well, I think they're unhappy with, what they're trying to say to me is that my trial work period ended August of 2008. And that should have started my 36 months of extended benefits.
Trial work periods usually reset after 5 years.
Right. Well, they're saying that I went over, which I made a lot of money. I was offered a situation where, I made like $30,000 that year. But it was, the pay rate was like around $70 an hour for most of the work, 70, 40. It was a prevailing wage situation.
All right. So just to clarify, you were working for more than 2 or 3 months, correct?
Oh yeah, like 5 months.
All right. So that's not a failed work attempt. So they got you on that, and that's called a vocational profile change. And when you have a vocational profile change, they're allowed to re-adjudicate the claim to see if you're still disabled, in which case they did just CDR and they said you're no longer disabled. Now, if they just said, hey, we're going to give you, now that's the thing. I mean, you didn't just, like we said before, it was 1 month. It wasn't 1 month. It was at least 5 months that we know of. So there's 5 months of overpayment there that they're going to be coming after you for.
No, that was 2008.
Okay.
Like that, and then
so those were covered.
2021 is the 1 month over the SGA.
So you only had 1 month in 20.
I just think something's weird.
All right, I would make the argument that you were covered under the renewed 9 month trial work period, and that you basically did not go ahead and violate the 9 month because you have 9 months to go ahead and earn whatever you want, even over SGA, and keep your disability benefits. I would also argue that was under 4 months, so it's a failed work attempt. What I'm thinking is that they're realistically in this situation just trying to come after you for the overpayment of you receiving benefits that month, which you can probably beat with the trial work period 9 month argument. However,
okay.
They did an analysis and said you were no longer medically impaired. I mean, did you fully go through a medical review? Like, did they send you to CE doctors or no?
Well, no. What happened is I had a review. I'm 60 now. And so it might have been, probably like 3-4 years ago, I had a medical review and they're like, okay, everything's fine. It actually went really easily. They said, we're going to do a medical review. We don't need anything from you right now. And then they sent me a letter that said, yeah, everything's fine. Your benefits are going to continue, da, da, da. And so I was like, okay, I agree. And then, like I say, in 2019, I was working a little bit. I got ripped off. I got scammed. Mm-hmm. So it was like live under a bush or,
Sure.
And so I did, but I was working with, at that time I was in a different state and I was working with that office and they said, yeah, you're due another trial work period. So, I knew the rules and I turned in all my stuff and they actually told me when they did this the review was actually June when they were doing the financial review and they're like, we don't care about the other. We don't care. I was working for a big box store. They said, we're not interested in that at all, actually.
Okay.
And the time period only covered 2.5 months of my time there. And, but they said this one thing. You were Santa. You made $2,233, which actually I corrected them. It was $2,247, but that's it. And I'm like, so I said, well, I don't understand, what rule I broke. And they told me, we don't have to tell you. And I'm like,
oh, they do. They do. They have to cite to the rule. All right. Something's going on here where there's a bias against you. I'm not sure if you blew up on one of them and one of them hates you now or what the deal is, but you need to reach out to the regional field office with your arguments lined up and then basically notify them of essentially the issues that you're facing with this, because this does not add up. 1 month where you played Santa, even while you had, again, 9-month trial work period, you should have been completely and utterly fine with that situation. So something's going on here. Somebody's playing a game with your benefits.
Okay. Yeah, it just seems weird. That's why I wanted to talk to you, because I'm like, this doesn't seem to mesh up with reality. And it's like I'm losing my mind. And I'm so stressed. My heart rate's up to like 130.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm not going to let this kill me.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I agree. Go check in. Look, make an argument list. If I get a chance, I'll check it out. If I don't, you got to understand. Email it to me at some point, and then that needs to go over to the regional field office so that they can review it, because they should not be, look, back in the day, you were covered 9-month trial work period. You got a renewed one. You're covered in 2021. This shouldn't be happening because you don't have a new specific vocational profile. You're stuck with the original comparison point date, your CPD of 1995. Man, this shouldn't be happening to you. So I'd reach out to them and see what you can do to get somebody with a little bit more knowledge working on it, or get that person swapped out who is working on it with somebody else.
Okay, but should I? They're kind of demanding that I file that SSA 16. Should I even do that?
Or were you originally on SSDI benefits?
Yes.
Yeah, then you don't file a new claim. That would be insanity. You would appeal the current decision to remove your benefits.
Okay, thank you. I talked to I called a legal referral in town.
Sure.
And this guy, I can't trust. You know what I mean? He yelled at me and told me I didn't do it. And they told me to file that 16, file any paperwork they asked you for. They have literally asked me for almost 100 pages of paperwork. And they keep changing their mind. So finally, I made them send me a new letter. I said, what is it that you exactly want? And that's when they listed the 16, the 454, and the 827. And it's kind of weird because if I were still in pay and everything, why would I have to give them permission to do a medical review? But they have that right.
You should be filing an appeal document. So in this case, it could be like a 561E kind of thing, a 3441, and also a 632. That's what you should be doing to appeal this thing going forward. Well, actually, they have a specific appeal form. Cessation SSA appeal form. Hold on, let me get it real quick. 789. Yeah, the SSA 789 form. Yeah, that's
good. Thank goodness.
So you're going to want that. You're going to want a 3441 and a 632.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't mind, do you mind if I send you an email you can say, oh, you lunatic or whatever?
No, that's fine. That's fine. No, that's totally fine. Okay. Send it over. I may not get a chance to get to it because I am on vacation, but send it over. If I get a chance, I'll send back a quick thing. Yeah.
Good for you. Have a good time.
Thank you, good sir. You have a wonderful, wonderful evening, and update me from there, Okay,
I can't hit you up tonight, but my internet's down, but thank you so much.
Absolutely, good sir. Have a wonderful night.
Thank you. Bye, Walter.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Oh, he's a guy.
Perfect. Okay, so what we're going to do is I'm going to grab the next caller. Let me see who is next on the list. Okay, we got that one. Oh my goodness, there's a lot of people on here. Okay, the next one was, I think it was this one. Yeah, this one right here. Boom, here we go. Okay, perfect. Let's see if we can get this person on the phone. Give me a 1 second. We are on speakerphone. The clamp is going on the phone, and we're good. There we go.
Yeah.
Hi, this is Attorney Walter Hnot. We are live on YouTube. Remember to use a fake name throughout this. Would you like me to answer a specific question, or would you like me to run hearing questions with you?
I'm not sure which I need.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Walk me through it.
Okay, I have a disabled son. He's disabled since birth. He started on SSI somewhere in the 90s.
Mm-hmm.
And then he was on and off depending on our income.
Okay.
Then a divorce happened. So he was put back on SSI in 2002, I think it was.
Mm-hmm.
So he was collecting SSI, and then I remarried in 2008. And the guy that I married was disabled. So after we were married for a year, that qualified my son and myself to draw off from my husband.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, that marriage didn't last very long.
Mm-hmm.
So as soon as we separated, I let the Social Security know that we were separated and that probably would be filing for divorce.
Okay.
They said, just get back with us when the divorce happens. So once the divorce was filed, I got back with them, gave them all the information that they needed. And at that time, I was collecting half. Okay, my son and I both were collecting half of what my husband was getting.
Okay.
Because I'm the main caretaker.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, I knew after the divorce that we should lose what we were getting and that he should go back on straight SSI. But instead, they took my part away and added it to his.
To the child's
so he ended
part.
up.
Yeah.
Right. And actually, the child was an adult then.
Okay.
So anyway, I thought, that sounded odd because I thought I understood that we would both lose that and that he would go straight to SSI.
Well, the kid is still the
anyway,
kid, because remember, they're looking at the kid still being under that person. You've removed yourself from the familial, equation, but the child, with the now adult hasn't. Yeah.
Right, but now it was his stepfather that he was drawing off from. So by it being a stepfather, he wouldn't be able to collect off of me. So the long story short, I gave them all the information that I was supposed to give them. But throughout the years, a couple of times, I was a little leery that he was being overpaid. So I called into the office, and they assured me no, that everything was okay. Well, then 11 years later, they come back. Okay, in 2019, they abruptly stopped his payments.
Okay.
No explanation at all.
All of the payments.
And
all the disability and the payments from the fathers, right?
Right.
Okay.
So it took me 2 weeks to even get an answer as to why they stopped the payments. So once I figured everything out, I started filing for, honest to God, I don't remember all of the forms that I filled out. One was for reconsideration. One was for waiver. And it ended up, I got no answers from any of them.
Like an overpayment of waiver, like a 632 waiver form?
Yeah, it was an overpayment.
Okay.
Of 80-some thousand.
Okay.
So anyway, I filed all the forms and I've yet to get an answer. This last May, I've been hard on them trying to get an answer. I've even filed appeals
I've done everything I know to try, and was getting nowhere. So I told them, I said, he needs some kind of income because I'm elderly myself. And, I want to know when I pass away that he's going to be taken care of with something. So they said, well, he has to sign up for SSI again. And I'm like, okay, that should have been done 11 years ago, but you didn't do it. So now we have to start all over. And they're like, yes, we'll have to prove that he's disabled. So we had to start everything all over. And he was finally approved in June of this year. And now he's drawing straight SSI.
Mm-hmm.
So during that 3 years, he lost out on everything and now had to be reapproved for disability.
With an overpayment hanging over his head.
Yes.
Right. So that was a lot of exceptions and unique situations and multiple parental benefit situations. But the bottom line is cessation occurred, overpayment. He is on SSI, Title 16 benefits. He's getting his 841. He's getting his Medicaid. They're probably trying to take a piece of it per month to pay off the overpayment. Where is it at right now?
Well, right now, they're not collecting for the overpayment. And so I called them back and I said, what are we going to do with this overpayment? And I was told, well, why are you worried about it? They're not saying anything else about it, and they're not taking any from his check. So why are you worried about it? I said, because it's still on his record. So that's as far as I'm getting with them. And also the disability now, I heard you say something about them redetermining disability. So now his new disability date is for this year.
Okay, so he's going to be under that rule. Yeah. So go
anyway,
ahead. Yeah.
What do I do about the overpayment?
Well, first and foremost, you call the local field office and ask them for an overpayment sheet. It's a status sheet on the overpayment. That tells you exactly what months they're claiming there was an overpayment, what the problem was, and then basically they'll usually require, you should file a 632, which it sounds like you already did, waiver of overpayment or reduction of it. And then from there, you argue on behalf of your child as to why he should essentially not have to pay that amount back. They may require some percentage of each month to go ahead and pay back. But the problem is, if he has no other money, he's going to need all the money to be able to survive, but that's not their problem. So, All right. So next step for you is to call the local field office and ask them for an overpayment status letter. That overpayment status letter will tell you, when you get it in the mail, what months the overpayment occurred, how much the overpayment is, and what their plan is going forward with it.
Well, I've already got that from 3 years ago. I've got that information. And that's what I say. I started the whole, fighting with them 3 years ago. And nothing has ever got settled. And so it's just hanging there now.
So, 3 years ago is a while ago. I would get an updated status one. How much is he getting per month?
He's currently only getting 5 something, but I am getting ready to show that he is paying half of his share in rent.
Sure.
So I'm working on that part now, and then he should get the, 841, I think.
Yeah, so he'll get the 841 once you prove that he's not, applying the 1/3 reduction rule or the in-kind support maintenance rule. So once you get through that, you should be okay. But still, they're going to hit you at some point with, trying to do a monthly amount to pay back the 80-something grand. I would contact them, get the letter, and then from there, basically, the whole thing is, you got to figure out what your plan is to prove why he didn't know, shouldn't have known it was really their fault for overpaying him.
Well, see, I have talked with a representative, and she was very nice, and I have the proof of, they said I did not let them know, but I have the information that they sent me in letters of the changes in the payment. So I have the proof that I did let them know of the divorce. I've got all of that proof.
It could not just be it could not just be the divorce, though. There could have been other benefits that were paid to him, or too much of some benefit, or it's not as simple as it was just the divorce. It's probably, and look, 80 grand, it's probably more than just one error.
Right. Well, it was over a 10 or 11 year time frame.
Yeah, I'm not going to be able to tell you with specificity which way to go with this, because I don't have any of the details as to what was the cause of the overpayment, what months were the overpayment in, and what's the plan of the SSA. So once you have that, I can advise you, no problem. But until I have that, I can't tell you which way to go with it.
Right. Well, like I said, I've got all of the paperwork. It's just they are not willing. I mean, I filed for a hearing, and I can't get a date set for a hearing.
Okay, so you're heading to a hearing on it. All right, so yeah, I mean, bottom line is you're going to be going in front of a judge, and the judge will be part of the adjudication to figure out whether or not there was excusable negligence on behalf of the child. And you'll go through it, but most attorneys will not represent people for this stuff because there's not really back pay in it. For them, there's just not. So, that's a situation where you're probably going to have to, do this with the child without representation.
Well, how many years is reasonable to wait for a hearing?
Well, once you hit the hearing level, because remember, a lot of people are like, the whole thing. The whole thing, it's usually around 3 years to get to a hearing. Could be less, could be more, could be 2.5, could be 3.5, could be just 2 years, depends. But bottom line is this: I mean, once you get to the hearing level, it takes anywhere from 9 months to 15 months to get a hearing scheduled.
Okay, so I guess I'll wait a while longer on a hearing. Yeah, if I don't succeed in anything, can I give you a call?
Yeah, you can give me a call. Just call me during the live sessions, because that's when I donate time to answer questions for claims, where we just can't take them as part of the 9 to 5 law firm stuff. Yeah.
Right. Okay, Jen. Thank you for your time.
Absolutely, absolutely. Have a wonderful, wonderful day.
You too.
Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Okay, so that's one where I'd have to see the paperwork to see what's going on, because there might be more going on than that actually meets the eye with that one. Let me go ahead and do the next phone call real quick. Hold on. Where's the next one? Here's the, I'm not even sure which one we left. All right, so we did that one. Now we're going to do the next one, which is right here. Perfect. Here we go. Excellent. Putting it on speaker. Very good, very good. Let me go ahead and do this. And there we go. Perfect.
This is Adrian Santino, Georgia.
Howdy, good sir. Attorney Walter Hnot. We are live on YouTube. Remember to use a fake name. Would you like me to answer a specific question, or would you like me to go ahead and run hearing questions with you?
I like a specific question.
Sure.
All right, let me know when you're ready.
Ready to roll.
Okay. You ready?
Yes.
My question is, I've been on disability for I'm 51 now, since
Okay.
2000 and, I'm 1997, excuse me. About 24 years, somewhere in that area.
Okay.
My current work is being used by a company that's now in Round Rock, Texas, but they were down here. So they, which is Disability Solutions, similar to your name, so to a certain degree. My question is,
Is it possible to have a certain amount, or I don't know how can I say, protection as they're doing this all the way to the DOJ? If somebody address these things that they're doing in terms of how the Federal Reserve is just basically, even though they came before the Congress, but they know they did this because the Federal Reserve created disability, Social Security anyway. So if they're playing these games with the poor, who's defending us in Washington?
Oh man, nobody is. I mean, there's like a caucus, but they're not really doing their job. So nobody is. That's why like the National Academy of Social Insurance, that nonprofit, is so incredibly important. That's why like those groups that figure out what's going wrong are so incredibly important. That's why, but man, nobody is. Like, that's the thing. Like these senators and these House reps, the ones that actually want to help you, they usually get voted out because the other ones all stick together and they all use their money together to get name recognition and mass advertising. So the people that want to help you and want to fix the program, want to fix Social Security benefits, in all reality, in all honesty, those people usually get fired from the political jobs because they're not in with the general crew. They're not part of the crew that has the mass funding.
So basically, the Federal Reserve is saying they've already took their cut. They did what they had to do as far as Social Security because we know their role in it. So, they might be playing nicely. So really, it all boils down to them. Am I correct?
Well, I mean, keep in mind, like when we pay our money, it goes into these trust funds. The biggies are the Medicare, the retirement, the disability. And what happens is, they convert that money into bonds. The bonds make money. They then sell those bonds, and they basically use it to pay everybody the next year. So it's just a big Ponzi thing where we pay in for the prior. So the bottom line is.
So my thing is, I'm let you go, attorney, because man, I think so much for what you do and how far you've come, and the sacrifice that you're taking upon, which maybe nobody don't mention. You got a lot of things going on, even dealing with family heirloom and traveling and probably trying to, preserve your legacy. So my thing is this: I would like to find out some type of way that, I don't know if you can do this for me or you can point me in the right direction, because I'm going to speak on behalf of people with disabilities as soon as the art gets back with me, because I'm an advocate. So. And then I'm going to speak in Washington. I hope so, because they avoided me the first time. I need to find out who's in charge of it on the lower level. We know Federal Reserve has their hand in terms of the creation of it and all that, but like somebody has to defend it, because for what I've seen, a lot of people in D.C. are walking around disabled. Even the House of Representatives, so we know they got disabilities. They're retiring. They might not come back. A lot of the Democrats, Republicans might not, but I see a lot of them. So if they're disabled, I'm not like, what are their views on it? So I just like to know so I can address that person, because somebody goes to defend us in Washington, right? Somebody speaks up for us up there, don't they?
Well, no. I mean, that's NOSCR maybe. So the NOSCR is the National, Social Security Advocacy Group. But I mean, you got to understand, man, like, these politicians, when they become politicians, they're not worried about the retirement benefits. They're not worried about their Social Security benefits, because they're set up on a better healthcare system. They're set up on a better pension plan. They're set up.
Right.
So, like, the things we rely on. Say it again?
Right.
Yeah.
What about their families and their grandparents, and if they didn't really do for them, like they were, like they could working? And they got other families and cousins and things like that. I mean, it doesn't stop at them, and you know that. I just wanted to throw that out there. But that's all I wanted to say. I want to keep in touch with you if you if you don't pick up that far, but you'll be getting texts from me from the organization, the ARC, and me trying to make my way to Washington on intellectual impairments as well as people with disabilities, because my brother has cerebral palsy. And we adopted him 22 years ago. His birthday's next few weeks, about a week and a half. And so we're fighting on behalf of not just, cerebral palsy kids, but, about the money that has been misrepresented as well, but intellectual impairments as well. I'm fighting for everybody, really, man. And going to say my saying, what it is like to live in non-private housing, what it's like to live as a person with a disability who, was living with one of the biggest developers in Atlanta, building housing for the veterans. It's time for me to come out and just start being, spoken. I'm going to make sure the protection is there, because when you outspoken now, they do their best to start hounding you, man, and your name, and discrediting your name, and start looking to your accounts and going to your credit. I mean, they do a lot if you speak out. And so, but I don't care about that, man. I'm 51 up. I mean, it is what it is. Let's get it on, man. I'm tired of how they're doing, people.
Perfect. Well, excellent, good sir. I will catch you. We'll catch up in the future. You know what I mean? You're fired up, and I like that. So we'll catch up in the future. But have a great night, and let's see what we can change. Let's see how we can make this better. Yeah.
That's right. And thank you for what you do. Thank you for being patient and listening. And like I said, I'll send you a text when I'm getting ready to make that transition, so you'll know what's going on.
Perfect, good sir. I will catch you a little bit later, and you have a wonderful, wonderful night, okay?
You too, and travel light.
Thank you. You as well. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Okay, let's go to the next call real quick here. Let me see real quick. And keep in mind, guys, it's 9:41. We're going to do one more call. Then we're going to call the security expert. I don't know if we're going to be able to get him tonight, because he has been super busy rubbing shoulders with literally the highest.
Hello.
Hi, this is Attorney Walter Hnot. We are live on YouTube. Remember to use a fake name throughout this process. Also, would you like me to answer a specific question, or would you like me to run hearing questions with you?
Oh, my Lord. I was talking a few months ago to you about getting off of Social Security.
Okay.
Yeah. I think now, from what I'm understanding from tonight's show, that they're getting really tough and taking people off of Social Security.
Yeah, I mean, they're doing a lot of CDRs. The standards are changing. But remember, if you were found disabled back in the day, you're adjudicated based off of the old standard. But if you're trying to get onto another program, they're probably going to go ahead and make you go through the adjudication process again, unless you fit the exceptions, which are becoming more and more rare.
Okay. Sounds like I need to start that small business I'm getting so much help with.
I mean, it depends. Look, here's the thing. If you can work and earn money, then do it. But if your medical conditions require health insurance, like medications that are super expensive, then you got to play the game and you got to stay with the program. Because what a lot of people don't realize is that some of their medication or medical treatment or medical imaging costs more than $4 or $5 grand a month. And when it does, man, you got to stick with the program, because you're going to need that medical treatment even more than the check.
Yeah, I never really put that much thought into that, and you're absolutely right. But wow, getting back to what the state and all these little agencies were wanting to do, because we've tried that job placement, and we've all agreed that maybe owning my own small business again would be best because of my traumatic brain injury and such. They're giving me my startup fees, startup costs, and that's a lot of money. So I may pull the trigger on this. It's been a long time since I first spoke to you about this, and then all of a sudden here comes these 83,000 IRS agents, and I was like, hell, I don't want nothing to do with that.
Right.
I put it back on the shelf again. I said, I ain't touching it. But now hearing this tonight, I'm like, maybe I better just go ahead and pull the trigger on this, because I have improved. I absolutely have. This farm has saved me. It keeps me active, keeps me moving around, keeps my brain moving.
Sure.
I think maybe I'm going to go ahead and pull the trigger on this and try going back to work and getting off with SSDI and owning a business again. Hopefully the government won't take my business again or have anything. You know what I mean? 'Cause my first business I had, the smoking ban, 2/3 of my business went to another county, which was 10 miles away, where they could smoke in the bar and restaurant. And so, yeah. So I've basically had to close my doors because of a damn cigarette.
Sure,
And,
sure.
So I think I'm gonna go ahead and pull the trigger and jump on this and really get to it, because it sounds like I'm gonna probably be one of those that would lose the Social Security disability, because I have improved, but I don't know if I have the brain power anymore to manage like I used to. I used to be able to manage the bar and restaurant, and I was quite successful until government things came into play. But I think I just talked myself into doing it. Because this show tonight's scaring the hell out of me, to be honest with you. You know, and I can't go without an income. I really can't. I can't afford to lose my farm. And so I just wanted to let you know that. And everybody out there, howdy, from West Virginia. And
you're SSDI though, right? Your SSDI benefits, yes. Yeah. So you got a trial work period, you got extended eligibility period, you got a ticket to work program, man. You got a lot of programs where you could give back to the work field while still keeping your disability benefits.
Yeah. The WIPA program, I think that's what that's called. The ticket to work.
Yeah, ticket to work, 5-year program.
WIPA. Yeah, WIPA. But yeah, I'm doing all those. I mean, rehabilitation services. The WIPA program with the Social Security people. I'm got all my paperwork in. It's been in. All my medical stuff's there. It's done. All I got to do is put my nose to the grindstone now, get my business plan done. My funding, as far as the money wise, I actually went to the bank last week because I did it kind of backwards. I wanted to make sure I could get my money before I started doing what business plan.
Sure.
You know what I'm saying? And so they said, I needed my 20% down and all that, and I was cool with that. And so I'm going to go ahead and pull the trigger on it and get back to work and my own business again and pray to God that I can make it.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Excellent. Yeah. Well, sounds good, sir. Well, I will catch you a little bit later. You have a wonderful, wonderful night,
All right. You too, Walter. Take care of that farm.
Thank you. You as well, good sir. And make sure if you do some YouTube stuff, let me know. I'll subscribe to it.
All righty. I sure will. Thank you.
Thank you, good sir. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
All right, guys. I'm going to go ahead and now call our security expert real quick. He's going to give us kind of a shorter show. I don't know if I'm going to be able to get a hold of him. Because basically he's been super busy all around doing a million things. But let me see if I can get a hold of him real quick, and then we'll begin this process. If not, I'm going to take maybe 1 or 2 more phone calls and then call the night because I am going to be driving pretty far. But let's see if we can get him. I'm hoping we can because he's got some pretty big updates for us.
That luck is 555. Tremendous.
Perfect.
Cheers, mate. All shots. Here we go in 3, 2, 1. Greetings, Walter.
Greetings, good sir. How you doing? What's going on in the front? What's going on with the security details around the world? Go ahead.
Oh, my gosh. C.S. Lewis here. You for another chapter in our top items of the week. We're going to jump right into the mix, yeah? Russian-Ukraine war, day 204, 204th day. And things are going a little different here. It's been put out there quite a bit that the Ukraine Army has been successful in reclaiming almost 3,100 square miles of territory in the last, maybe 6, 7, 8 days. Moving forward with tremendous speed and accuracy. Russian forces have gone into what we'll call almost a retreat, if you will. Stunning, successful actions, energizing the Ukraine population, inflicting serious blows to Russian military ambitions, and raising great hopes for a Ukraine victory. The morale of the Russian troops, a continual issue since the early days of the war. As we remember, it got bogged down, fatigued with their 40 miles worth of tank equipment and issues with equipment maintenance and and food and clothing for their troops. This continues to plummet at this time. It's stirring up tremendous dissent in Russia and sending some of Moscow's war-torn forces scrambling in retreat. The governor of Belgorod region in Russia, Governor Gladkov, urged the residents of two nearby settlements to leave their homes in the Belgorod region near the Ukraine border and basically evacuate in their best interest. First, we had 100% vaccination here. President Zelensky, Ukraine's president, visited Izum days after the troops retook the city during the massive counteroffensive against the troops in that northeast part of the country. Really just he did his nightly briefing from that area with just great morale. The fight is not over. There's more to be done. We do have former United States Bill Richardson visited Russia this week. Several outlets may have covered it. We're unsure. He's attempting to secure the release of the basketball player Brittany Griner and U.S. military veteran Paul Whelan. Trying to work that piece, and he was scheduled to go over to work that out. As we know, Ms. Griner was part of a team, and she was recently sentenced to a tremendous period of time in their presence in Russia. Economically, what we're starting to see is the European Commission, President Ursula von der Leyen has unveiled a proposal to impose windfall levies worth $140 billion on energy companies in a bid to lessen the effects of the surging gas and electricity prices that threaten the economies and the households in the EU this year. As we know from our last call, the Gazprom, which is operated by the Kremlin, has shut down the flow of gas to both Nord Stream 1 and Nord Stream 2 indefinitely. And it's a serious financial ripple throughout the world. The Commission still wants a European price cap on Russian gas. More we see it as more work really needs to be done here to assess the effects of the matter. That came from their energy commissioner, Kadri Simpson, that said the United Nations proposal that Russia resume exporting ammonia via Ukraine had hoped to raise hopes that we could maybe ease up on the fertilizer shortage, as we've seen throughout the world tremendously, as we spoke about in the North American states. Texas, we talked to Mr. Kennedy last week regarding his 10,000 acres of cotton that between the water, fuel, and fertilizer is just no harvest this year. Number one item being exported from the state of Texas and the United States. Something a little unusual that occurred on Russian media accidentally revealed catastrophic losses by one of their reporters in an error. And again, as we did last week for the concerns about three-dimensional or fictitious representation, we were able to validate that he admitted a huge number of people had died from in Russian forces. Alexander Sladkov was speaking to the Kremlin through their news channel from the Donbass, where he lets it slip how effective this counteroffensive has been, despite President Putin claiming it as part of a tactical reorganization by the Russian army. The gentleman says, tried to use a boxing analogy, saying people here are waiting for us to get started, but he trips himself up and he said, we have lost a huge number of people. We have wounded. We're having horrible. And then he paused a little bit and ends up coming back with, we've had great successes. Little too late, and sadly, that information was interpreted and reevaluated with 100% accuracy. That they are starting to get reports back to the Kremlin regarding the massive losses, nexus potentially of over 50,000 soldiers beyond the conscripts. We also have validation of sets of Russian helicopters have been observed in flight just in the last 36 hours. In the comments we have found, they're attempting to find Russian soldiers that have been separated from their units and weapons, and they're heading in unknown directions. These helicopter flyovers have been seen in the Kherson region, down on the North Black Sea side, and the Dnieper River and other areas along the northeast Donbass region, Kharkiv area, they separated or displaced Russian soldiers. Ukraine sources indicate that it's true. The Russian helicopters are in fact flying and looking for Russian soldiers, truly that have been separated from weapons and may be misguided. But they did say, sources they've indicated they've abandoned their units, they're left with other unit members in an attempt to leave the battlefield and the Russian military. Some of the phone calls being observed in the last 7 days indicate family members, whether it's the wife, children, caretaker, whatever it may be, the monies have not been forwarded on from the Russian army for the service of those conscripts or service members. And the promises made have not been financially fulfilled. So unfortunately, it appears that we're finally coming full circle, and it may have been an intentional move as Ukraine mounted their counteroffensive that they absolutely were going to take complete advantage and leave tanks in place and massive amounts of equipment and literally trying to find their way out of Ukraine. Now we'll move on to North America. I know you have great interest here in the great state of, is it Maine?
I'm in Maine. I'm loving it. I'm loving the weather. I'm loving it. There's not many bugs out. I was working on the house. I was doing a million things today. I was under a car today fixing a Prius. So it's been a long day, but I'm doing okay. It's a good vacation, but walk me through what's going on.
As long as you weren't under the car and it wasn't on your chest, I guess that's okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, I had Harbor Freight stuff. I was covered.
Oh, you're good. You're all good. Well, you know that's me. Never mind.
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll move on to North America. Something that took a little bit, but we're happy with what we found with 96% validity after we went back and forth all through the politics, whatnot, and sent through the AI. Florida Governor DeSantis took a page right out of Texas Governor Abbott's book and sent 2 planes carrying more than 50 Venezuelan migrants to the upscale community of Martha's Vineyard, Massachusetts. Summer colony, an island that sits off the coast. Chappaquiddick is also part of it, tied to the Kennedy generational compounds. Very, very wealthy community. And apparently on Wednesday, Florida Governor DeSantis confirmed he was in fact responsible for the 2 planes that landed in Martha's Vineyard, so they could obviously find work there. Here's where it got a little out of kilter, is the planes were originated from San Antonio, flew to Florida. Thank you, Governor Abbott. I guess we sent them over to Governor DeSantis, keeping it right, yeah, and then up to Massachusetts. So it became a political firestorm, if you will, for those who said we more than welcome these people. Apparently, a group was also sent to President Kamala Harris, sent to her home, and these buses have been showing up, and migrant distribution, illegal migrant distribution has been overwhelming. And for the folks that said they were welcoming them, the comments from New York City, Chicago, Seattle, San Francisco are absolutely unprepared and don't know what to do other than complain. At least that's our interpretation. We're taking sides here, just going back into history and finding them physically making these comments with multiple sources. So the question becomes, because I know coming from you and our good shops did a great job, since the question becomes, how many illegal people are really being stopped coming across the United States borders illegally?
Yeah.
And the new surge from Customs and Border Patrol, bear with me, because I think the information is extremely valid to the folks in North America. The primary surge is from Venezuela. It's overwhelming the Border Patrol and shelters in El Paso, Texas, where nearly 1,000 people have been released near bus stations over the past week, and hope they will find their own way to their next destinations in the United States.
Wow.
On average, the El Paso sector, that border, has about 1,300 migrants crossing per day, up from May's high of 1,000 per day, according to the information we got from U.S. Customs and Border Patrol, the data sheets, and we were able to process them successfully. Temporarily, these people can be released with court dates. Is that double its capacity, said Valerie Morales, the spokesperson from the Border Patrol in El Paso. And since last Wednesday, 932 migrants are being called, have been released, and what are commonly called as street releases, and Border Patrol calls provisional releases. They're out of storage space, they're out of access points. And then we roll over to the coordinates with local government and cities to identify where they can conveniently access transportation service or accommodations. And here we go. They're overwhelmed. So Border Patrol is taking it upon themselves to and then as close to the bus areas as they can, as there's no more room. This week, over the last few days, Vice President Kamala Harris twice declared the border is quote-unquote secure. The Department of Homeland Security came out Wednesday refuting that claim, and contrary to her prognosis, Homeland Security, DHS, confirmed Wednesday that more than 560,000 undocumented individuals have successfully evaded law enforcement this fiscal year, not including the hundreds of thousands who surrendered to Border Patrol agents. 500,000 people, and the year is not over. It's the people evading authority that Blake Masters, a Republican candidate out of Arizona for Senate, says he's most concerned about. His quote just Wednesday, the getaways, that's what keeps me up at night. Speaking out on Wednesday, now they have a problem, although it's been trying to catch smugglers in Texas for the illegal migration. They've been swimming the Rio Grande, walking from Mexico into Eagle Pass in the Del Rio sector to self-surrender. Arizona's Yuma sector, 6,000 encounters each week, according to Border Patrol statistics we've been supplied with. They've been averaging 500 to 1,000 people coming through just in the last 24 hours through the Yuma sector.
Wow.
The Vice President wants to say we have operational control, the border secure. Wednesday morning alone encountered 500 from Cuba and Peru. More needs to be done. Here we go with 3 hours ago. Actually, let me pause. Official numbers from the southern border will be released this week, and we will beyond that to see where it goes. We anticipate 2 million so far this year. They said it expects to surpass. Ms. Morales says 2 million, the highest number ever recorded since the calculations began decades ago. 3 hours ago, we with 100% validation, the Biden administration doubled down on Vice President Kamala Harris's claim that the border is secure, despite a surge in illegal crossings and overwhelming the process. Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre backed up Harris, who asked for basically skewer it, as we just talked about, and they are now saying that the border system needs to be fixed. Mrs. Jean-Pierre includes her blaming President Donald Trump's administration for disseminating, quote unquote, disseminating the country's immigration system, and mistakenly referred to GOP Representative Ted Cruz as the governor of Texas while they were waiting to ask questions from the press corps on the secure border statement. Historically, Ms. Jean-Pierre indicated they needed funding to do that, to make sure folks that we encounter be removed or expelled. And when questioned if the voters were being lied to, she went back and said, again, it's a broke system from the Trump administration. We have some interesting numbers we were able to locate just while we're researching this. Very, very important to all taxpayers. And some of the comments from my teams that were picking out their shout outs this evening, talking about why residents in our country of North America, what's this here? The Social Security system seems to want to almost put them at the bottom of the list. And presentation is hard to come by. So here we have the numbers of what's going on here. Jean-Pierre says, again, we agree the border is secure, but there's more work done. One of the reporters from Fox said, do you believe it's secure? This is 3 hours ago. I can tell you for the record and the process we've been using to make sure that we do our best to order. The effective financial burden on the American taxpayers is massive due to the current administration's open border policy. The budget for Customs and Border Patrol operations, $4 billion a year. And so far, they have 2.2 million enforceable actions by active duty personnel this year in apprehension, detention, and enforcement of illegal people entering the United States of America. This is not inclusive of the budget of between $9 and $11 billion for 2002 for the caretaking of the quote-unquote refugees and those allowed to stay in the United States until that court date, which we talk about, that provisional release, is heard. This may take up to 2 years. So they can be here at no charge, and it's costing the American taxpayers somewhere between $13 billion and $15 billion, taking away from what our teams see as people who have needs within a country, have needs within its infrastructure, not unique to any country, but here we have an ongoing situation that's not working out very well. As far as Social Security, I think, I'm unsure if you spoke before, but from one of the shops monitoring all content regarding Social Security, more than 70 million Americans receive Social Security benefits, and they're waiting to hear on the final number. I think it came out just, was it yesterday? Within the last day or so. The inflation figures for August were released, Tuesday. Cost of living is 8.7%, according to an estimate by a nonpartisan group that we favor, and validation on the other side. The final number will be announced. Mark your calendar on October 13th, after the release of the September inflation data, and then we'll have a decent number to obviously plan for next year. Again, it's arrears money. It's arrears money every month. Sorry to espouse things you speak of regularly, but
that's good.
It's got to help with every family. Two last things, and then we'll be off. This year we took a look we're looking at some of the electrical safety and some of the fires in the Midwest and the western part of the United States, California, and we came back with the National Fire Protection Agency. Again, National Fire Protection Agency, NFPA.org. There are five things that our groups took a look at. 5 P's are people, prescriptions, papers, personal needs, and priceless items. These are things that you should secure and have plans for and duplicates. So if you do get evacuated for any reason, whether it's weather or electrical or fire need, you already have plans. One of the things we were able to locate through the NFPA.org was emergency evacuation plan guidelines for people with disabilities. Extremely important. There is PDF available online through that site, NFPA.org, for building or creating an evacuation plans for mobility, visual, speech, and cognitive impairments, including an emergency evacuation planning list. Again, NFPA.org. Not a member, nobody gives them, but we found it to be invaluable. The document is free at no charge, and it really looked like a tremendous resource. Each of the shops took a shot to see if there's anything that's missing. We talked about preparedness. Here's something that's specifically for use for an emergency planning, regardless. We're not talking about what you need to carry, but how physically to exit the building and what you need to bring, yeah? So please look at that again, NFPA, National Fire Protection Association.org. And about the same time as we find the final results for Social Security on October 13th, that's also our Protection Week, the 9th through the 15th. So we'll bring it back around the second time, about a month from now. Lastly, great thing out of West Texas, a group of folks got together. They're from the Sunset International Bible Institute. Been around for 20 years. They're missionaries. They've traveled and passed their word. We don't have a personal connection, but we were speaking with Tim Burrow, president the Institute, and he's been connected 26 years with Ukraine, from having his school and taught there for 20 years. They've actually put together something astronomical. Him and his family lived as missionaries in the city of Mariupol. They were living there. They saw their apartment destroyed. They saw the church they were working for come under fire. People they know and love were dying as a result. It was just tearing them up. They were able to get about 70% of the congregation into other European countries. The war broke out, and he trained missionaries to help initially in Donetsk, moving to Kyiv when Russia's forces came in 2014, and then ultimately moved the school out over to Poland. He organized and helped raise funds for the shipment I'm about to describe to you, and they're also collecting donations for winter gear they're going to send. They understand specifically about lack of heat, lack of cooking. He partnered with a company called Green Love Foods, also out of the Lubbock area. The CEO, Bill Miller, says, if you can get this together, I'll get it shipped over to them.
Wow.
The beauty of this story is they put together 44,000 pounds of food. The shipment held 1,000, almost 300 cases, which equates to about 2 million meals.
Wow.
Nearly 300 of the meals were paid for by a group of Sudanese refugees in Uganda that they had worked with previously. And they're absolutely, they took it out of their own lunch money, if you will, as missionaries. One story, it continues on where the folks from Global Samaritan Resources out of Abilene helped with the shipping and the logistics. Eric Ponberg, the executive director, drove down from Abilene location hours after sending a shipment of blankets to Ukraine just that morning. And it was her privilege. She told us that she was able to seal the container before it drove off for shipping with great tracking. And it's just amazing people that carry it in their heart, care about others that they've come in contact with in previous times. And I thank you, sir. I thank you for the opportunity to share with you part of the global war, part of the repercussions, what the United States' current leadership has to say. And Freddie, I'd like to do the shout outs. Just coming into me now. Just a few more than we had last week from your listeners. Let me know if it's a good time. If you have a question, they're about 15 seconds out. So any comments you'd like to throw out? Seconds. Come on, guys. They'll hand me a sheet. I come from the shops here. Hold on one second there, Walter.
Perfect.
And then we'll be able to. And I believe these are your listeners tonight. The military group again. This time, Andre Jeanette would like to shout out to Mike Malone for his comments about Ukraine. Budget and accounting, Stanley and Gretchen, reaching out to Nancy Thompson for her tremendous observation regarding sending money overseas for gender studies out of an earlier budget from the administration. Charleston Zimmerman, we have the Global Experts Group. This is Lou and Martine for his ongoing knowledge over the last week or so. They dismissed last week. And then we have Scott Measures being recognized by the Validation entire team for keeping all his medical documents for use in a Social Security case. He says he's got a tremendous list of documents that he's been keeping. They ask that we share. He makes scanned copies and keep them on two separate drives, one inside his home, one outside his home in case of emergency. And I would always keep the updates, but they were just the validation team. That was from Argonne all the way to the Galzana. We're excited, and they shouted out to Scott Messerschmidt, indicating the importance of keeping all the documents for the Social Security hearings, and very contemporary with what you have going on this evening. And that's what I have to offer this evening, sir.
Perfect, good sir. Well, sounds good. I tell you what, since I'm on vacation, I'm gonna take the night a little bit earlier. Thank you so much for coming on. I will catch up with you guys a little bit later. Have a wonderful, wonderful night, and I'll catch up with you shortly.
Be well, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you, good sir. Have a wonderful night. Bye-bye.
So, Till we meet again.
Thank you. Bye-bye. So that's excellent, guys. That's what's going on in the world. I mean, that's huge to get all that information just boom right there. So that's incredible. But I'm super tired. I'm going to go fall asleep. I'm going to be traveling all the way up to my favorite place in Maine, which is basically Mount Desert Island, Cadillac Mountain, blueberry fields, wild blueberry fields all over the place. Jordan Pond House, the bubbles, all that stuff. I'm going to catch you guys a little bit later. You have a wonderful, wonderful night. Thank you so much for being part of tonight's show. It's always a big show, big Thursday. Please remember to like, subscribe, leave 5-star reviews. We'll catch you a little bit later, and we'll go from there. Thanks so much, guys. Bye-bye, guys. Bye-bye.